Welcome to another edition of the Livin The Dream video podcast. This is a special one, number 44. And as somebody who grew up in Syracuse, New York area, that is a very much a sacred number. And so many to pick from. I'm going to go with the OG, the original, could argue still the best player in NFL history, Jim Brown. Episode number 44, Jim Brown. Let's go. And if we're going to do that, we got to have some fun. And with me today, by the way, I'm Rishi Barran with the Dan Patrick School of Sportscasting. This is our opportunity to showcase our grads and what they're doing. And I'll tell you what, there's nobody who puts more of a smile on my face than the guy you're about to see. His name is Carlos Rosado. He works for KTAB, KRBC, better known as Big Country Homepage Sports in Abilene, Texas. And, you know, if you didn't think he was fun, wait till you see the shirt he's wearing today. Carlos Rosado, how are you?
I'm repping the girls. That's what we're doing right now, Mr. Rishi. I love it. My favorite one's Rose right here. I love Rose. Wait, what am I doing? That's Sophia. My favorite one's Sophia. Love Sophia. We got Dorothy. We got Blanche. We got Rose on the side right here. You know, nothing about edit that out. I promise you, this is my favorite show ever. I got so much merchandise about it. But other than that, I'm doing great. I'm the Jim Brown episode. So I can play football, but I'm not much of a lacrosse player. Not many people know that. Yeah.
That's the next level, Carlos, is research and understanding the history of the sport. And we'll get to later the Bob Lilly book that you're reading right now and how that's going to help your reporting. But before we get to the first big question, I do want to touch on the Golden Girls just a little bit here, because you told me as we were talking before the show that your classmates gave you some Golden Girls paraphernalia as well, some including that shirt you're wearing, right?
Oh yeah, 100%. Stay golden. That's the mentality. I also have let's see, Ryan Stearns that I graduated with. We're from the same state of Tennessee. He gave me a coloring book, so I have that. And then old man Cam Jenkins, he gave me a coffee mug. It's my lucky mug. And then I got this shirt and I got a pink shirt in the closet that I got. My friend Ian got me this one. I had to Venmo him back, but he got me this one. And if I'm not wearing a suit, or if I'm not wearing a polo to report, I'm not in any of those clothes. I just got to rep the Golden Girls, Mr. Rishi. I know you love that.
I do. I guess that leads to one other big question before we get to the three big questions of this episode. Why do you love the Golden Girls?
Well, it started off, I mean, like growing up, there was a TV in the living room. It was the big TV. I just wanted to watch my shows in the big TV, but I'm the kid, so I don't have a say. I have a tiny TV in my room, but I didn't want to go upstairs and go to my room. I wanted to watch my shows in the big TV. So, my mom, she would watch the Golden Girls on TV, and it just came to a point where I would rather just watch whatever's on the big TV in the living room than just go upstairs, just 15 steps up and watch whatever I wanted to watch. So it first started off as reluctance, but then like the show's so funny and it's so good. And I just kept watching and watching. And I remember like days went by and my mom's like, "You like this show, don't you?" I'm like, "No." And and it was just great. I ended up watching every single episode. And that's just like one of the things, if you know me, I'm just a giant fan of that show. It's my favorite show ever.
Well, for now, move over B. Arthur, because the big screen TV is here for living the dream with Carlos Rosado. Carlos, where did this dream of being a sports broadcaster start for you?
It started with NFL films, and it started with the lovely voice of Mr. John Facenda, God rest his soul. When I was a little boy, no one knows how. My family was never into sports. Somehow I became into sports. My family, no guys could grow facial hair. Somehow I grow facial hair. They don't listen to country music. Somehow I love country music. I don't know how any of these things happen, but I remember I was like 6 years old and I got on the wrong channel, started watching NFL films, just heard that just the orchestra music and that voice and just that old footage. It just worked together so beautifully. It's like there's just certain things that go well, like peanut butter and jelly, like orchestra. opera symphony in old 70s NFL football. It's so perfect. And I remember just sitting there, just jaw drop, watching everything. And I think, I don't know. I don't know if I wanted to be an NFL player first or if I just wanted something to do with football for the rest of my life, because that helped me fall in love with the game and just, kept following that.
And now you're in the state where football is like a religion,
It's
Texas.
king. It's king here in Texas.
So
It is
that
the greatest thing on planet Earth.
I can see why you like being there so much because of that. But back to NFL films for a minute. I always say it's the best produced television anywhere, not just sports, but television, because you get these amazing shots from the games. They were the ones who really hit that slow motion and how to use slow motion to really tell the story of what's happening. You mentioned the music, how it mixes in the voices that we hear, and it's just a way to, it's almost like a, you know, a child, and you were a child at the time when you watched it, but even as an adult it's almost like this child's, I don't know, box of candy where it's just so many things that make you happy all at once, and the way that they tell the stories. When you watched NFL films, besides the music, besides the sounds and all that, what did you take from the experience of what that all was like wrapped together?
I learned that the fall is an Oakland Raider. And then, I learned about old staples in NFL history. I learned that in order to do what you do, you have to be thankful for the guys that came, the men and the women that came before you that paved the way, because it was so much harder for them back then than for us now. And that's for everything. And that's one thing that was one of the most important life lessons, I guess. I didn't learn that at the time, but answering that question, looking back on it, that helped cement that in my brain. And just that's just the music and the early mic'd up and the voices and Steve and Ed Sable and everything that made it perfect. It was like one of the earliest times for me when I learned that art wasn't just painting. It was just creating a masterclass in anything that you do. It doesn't have to be for entertainment purposes. It's just doing great in your craft. And that was one of the things I've learned in my experiences. And now when I do sit down interviews, I try to make them like NFL films.
You seem to be someone who has an appreciation for history, whether it be the girls on your shirt or the football players dancing on your television to orchestra and tightly wound spirals of footballs. History plays a role in your life. Was that something as a child growing up that would take, elementary classes that you would get in school? Was history something you were drawn to?
That was one of my favorite subjects. I was a science and history kid growing up. Like, yeah, math was good. Every time I'd write an essay for English class, I thought I wrote a great essay and I'd get my paper back and the grade was just not what I wanted. So English was never my strong suit. It was always history. It was just so great to whenever I'd go to the library growing up and I read all the sports books, but I just gravitated more towards the nonfiction sports books or the historical fiction sports books, and learning about just what those players with no face masks to the introduction of a face mask and all that. I ate that up right away, and then it was just the only class where I was just actively raising my hand and answering, and I was just so interested in. And I wasn't a class clown. I was there to learn when I was in that class because it hit my interest there. It got me good.
That's Carlos Rosado of Big Country Homepage Sports in Abilene, Texas. Carlos, you said your family wasn't really into country music like you were, but you grew up right outside of Nashville, and something else you took in from there was a little Vanderbilt baseball you were telling me. What was it like to go to those games?
It was fun. It was like seeing how good programs operate. And I remember when I was 7 years old. I was playing for my little league team, and our coach just one day comes over and is like, "Hey, we're gonna be on the field for the Vanderbilt game this Saturday. We're gonna stand for the national anthem." And we were all just like, "Yeah, cool." And we go over there. We're all so nervous. I think I was next to the pitcher. I just remember trotting out 7-year-old me, and some of our guys are with each of the outfielders, and some of us were next to the pitcher, and some of the guys out there in the infield, and it was just like I remember shaking. It was just so awesome. But then they lost to Florida, and I don't remember the score, but I remember just being upset and being like, "Man, I'm going to hold a grudge against the University of Florida forever because of this." I was on the field and I watched the Vanderbilt Commodores lose. I don't like that. I don't like that at all.
How did that drive your thoughts deeper beyond football to other sports?
It was just I don't. Besides sports, it was just I was outside. Growing up, I was outside as much as I possibly could. I guess I'm one of the last dudes in my generation to ever do that. But I don't know. Now that I think about it, I didn't really think of the impact of that moment until really just now because it was just awesome. Like I was a 7-year-old kid on a D1 Power Five, now Power Four field, and now it's like fast forward, I'm walking on the field of AT&T Stadium for high school football state championships, and I was literally in the Alamo Dome last week, and now I get paid to do this stuff, but I love to do this stuff. I didn't think about way back then that that helped set an establishment of this foreshadowing in the future, but I never look at the future like that. So now I think about it, yeah, that's a core memory. That's an inside out core memory right there.
Well, that's why I like this show because it gives you a chance to reflect. And you talked about not thinking about the future, but in a sense, as we go through life, sometimes we don't take a lot of time to reflect on the past and how it got us to the present either. And I enjoy that. And you said something a minute ago that made me kind of a little bit because it was something unexpected. You said, "Hey, when I was a kid, I was not a class clown. I was enveloped in all these subjects that I took." What was young Carlos Rosado like?
Oh no, young Carlos Rosado was a huge class clown in the classes that he wasn't that interested in, like English class or math, or possibly science. But young Carlos got in trouble every day for talking, and he was just so excited. You had to. He moved around. He had toys on his desk to fiddle with while the teacher was talking, and he just now I look back, like I wish I could just tell him like, chill, dude, like calm down. But he also he also was just he wasn't good at sports growing up. Like in basketball, he was picked to last at recess every single day, but he just loved doing it. He never quit. He just stuck by it. He was small. He was one of the smallest kids on the team growing up in Pop Warner. He'd get run over, but for some odd reason he enjoyed it. So he just got up and kept playing. And then this guy this guy would watch Miami Heat games, back when LeBron was with the Heatles, and he'd mute the television. He'd try to do play by play on TV. He just any aspect of sports, he loved it. I would say he was a little too excited, a little too active, had to calm down a little bit. And yeah, I mean that's what life's for.
And we'll get to that in a little bit. You had told me about your maturity and how much you enjoyed kind of going through that journey during Full Sail, but there's something special about your outlook on life and this childlike excitement that you're talking about right now that everything kind of makes you happy. There's so many things that bring enjoyment to you and put that smile on your face, and then you put that smile on other people's face. Where did that start that you became Carlos, the man of excitement?
I don't know, Mr. Rishi. I'm just a natural extrovert. It just happens. Like, I guess I really want to know how personalities are formed and why people the way they are. That's something that a lot of kids major in and all of that. But yeah, it's just I don't know. I guess it's just the people you learn from, what you're exposed to early. what you're around. I mean, shoot, my mom, I'm the spitting image of my mom, and she's more extroverted than I am. So it was probably her, definitely, that I took her personality and made it my own. But just playing football and baseball with the neighborhood boys every single day until it got dark, and we'd go back home and just smell very bad, and her parents like yelling at me to take a shower, or just being able to make jokes and make people laugh. To I don't know. It's not that I've never met a stranger in my life. It's like in SpongeBob, when SpongeBob's got his eyes, and then Plankton puts on SpongeBob's eyes, and everyone just happy or smiling, and it's just I like to see the world that way. It's a lot better. You can call me naive. I just like being content with myself and living day by day.
Yeah, I think it's the way to go, and I appreciate that greatly out of you. And you're also a respectful guy, though, too. And it's funny you just said the magic word I've been waiting to hear, Mr. Rishi, right? That's what you've always called me. I've had a few other students say that, but not many. Why did you start calling people Mr. their first name? I've been curious.
I am a I don't see myself as an adult. I just can't. Like, I know I'm 22. I live 1,000 miles away from my folks. I'm in an apartment by myself. I got a job. I pay rent. I pay utilities and my car and all of that. But like, I just see myself as a kid, and it's just like I mentioned with NFL films and learning in life. I'm always appreciative of the trailblazers, because I'm not a trailblazer. I'm walking in the path that those before me were able to make at the time when it was harder, and they had to do most of the work themselves. So, but even then, my dad served in the military, and it's not even a military thing. It's just whenever I do something, I feel like if I do something wrong, I have the thought of my mom or my dad in the back of my head, giving me those lessons. And it's just, if I see an adult, I address them as Mr. or Mrs., Miss, yes, sir, no, sir, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. So it was always Mr. Gus, it was Mr. Ruddy, it was Mr. Rishi, Mr. Zach, and Mr. Chris for the wonderful Chris Mouton. And even today, when I'm in my own newsroom, we have a anchor who's been there for 45 years, and I call him Mr. Bob. I refuse to call him by his first name. I can't do it. It's one of those things in my head, just like adults should be respected. And I understand that I'm their colleague, but I'm not their colleague. I'm a young boy ready to learn, that's excited to attack the world. So it's just always Mr. and Mrs. all the time.
Yeah, I like it. It's differentiating too. It's something to remember about you that I've always enjoyed. And you grew up watching NFL films and all that, but then you get into high school. When did the wheels start turning like, okay, let's take this personality and bring it somewhere on TV and go to a school where I can learn that.
I liked going to high school sports games that I didn't play. I was a football player, and so, I couldn't watch my football games, but like I'd go to the baseball games a little bit. I always went to the basketball games. Those were my favorite. And after the games, I was their friend. I would go outside and I'd pull up my voice memos on my phone, and I would straight up just hit this red button, and I'd be like, I'm here with so and so after this game against this team. What did you think you did? What are some things that you saw out there that you liked out of your boys? And I just point the phone toward them, and they all loved it. And so they were like, "Yeah, man, you should do something about that. Like, can we see that?" And so I would like this was on my old phone, and I'd be able to just scroll and scroll, and I just have like the home games of all the guys that I interviewed, the basketball players. And then I would do it in football too. Only if we won. Only if we won. I would go to the locker room and just, interview all the guys around the row about how they think we did, and things like that. And so, they saw that, and a bunch of people that were nice to me, that supported me, were like, you need to do something out of this. And then my senior year, I got to be the PA announcer for the basketball games, and I just went out of control. Like, those lights turn off when it's time to introduce the home starting lineup. I am going all out. And when they make a three, oh yeah, everyone's gonna know that they made a three. And so that is, I guess, in high school, that's how that happened. And I took a chance, went to Full Sail after all the millions and millions and millions of ads that hit YouTube, and I was like, fine, I'll give it a chance. And then I gave it a chance. It was awesome.
Yeah, I heard about these ads a lot, and a lot of people come on the episode, they mention that's where they found out. But what made you take the plunge specifically to Full Sail and decide, hey, I'm going to Florida and I'm going to learn how to do this?
One, I didn't immediately. I knew what I wanted to do, but for some reason I was so hesitant on it. No matter all these talking ears, people can tell you things, but like it's your decision at the end of the day. And for some reason, I remember I graduated in 2020, world shut down. I was like, I got to stay home and go to the cheap university and just learn whatever for now. And then I'll take my chance. And I didn't like that. Don't know why I ever made that decision. But I just remember all these ads just pulling up, and I ignored them at first, but then I genuinely enjoyed watching them. It was like, you know what? I'm willing to take a chance because I thought it was a scam at first. Honestly, a lot of other people probably thought the same thing too. I'm just willing to say it. But I remember one time I finished a Zoom class and I was just bored out of my mind. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna call. So I call Full Sail, and I'm just talking to this nice lady, and we're having an awesome conversation about just whatever, my interests and why I called and all that. And then literally like 30 minutes in the convo, I hear, so you've been accepted. I was like, I've been accepted. Was this like yeah, you were accepted. I was like, oh, okay, cool. And yeah, I wanted to go so bad. I told my mom about it. We did more research on it, and then I ended up staying with my auntie in Orlando because she lives there. So I stayed with her while I went to Full Sail, and yeah, I'm very glad I did that. Met my best friends in the entire world. Love all of those guys. Greatest class ever, and I got to meet the best connections of all time. So I'm very
Yeah,
grateful.
and I want to go into a lot of that, but I do want to touch on something you just said, which was you graduated in 2020, the COVID year, right? So I'm sure that was different to use a underwhelming word to describe it, but I know that probably meant you didn't get to have your graduation the normal way and get to finish your senior year the way a lot of people did and kind of got cheated out of that to some degree. How did you handle that?
It was weird. We just lived day by day. I remember I remember sitting in history class in like a March, like literally at this time. And oh, but this is going out in April, so you didn't hear that. But yeah, I remember sitting in class and this album dropped that I was waiting for 5 years, and it finally dropped, and we were all listening to it. And then I just remember like after that day, there was no more school. Just the email came out, and it was like, "Hey guys, um, classes in person are done for the rest of the year, and every high school class is done. But if you were one of those that were taking those like college credit high school classes, you didn't have to go to school, but you still had to Zoom, and because it counted as a college course. But like I just remember everyone, it was just such a big deal. It was just something that was never experienced before. But there have been moments like that. History repeats itself, and I just feel like there are a lot of people still in 2025 still trying to recover from it. I was a young, naive guy, so I lived my life like it was normal until I had it, and then I had to do the little quarantine thing for however many days. But yeah, it was different. I don't know. I'm so happy we don't have to wear masks anymore. When I was in Full Sail for like the first 5 months, we had to wear masks, and I never enjoyed wearing those things. But seeing that in public all of a sudden every single day, just having to be cautious and aware about other people's safety, and also yours. It was like I tried to treat every day like a normal day, but it wasn't. It was so different. It was so different, Mr. Rishi. I don't know.
Well, it didn't take away from your enthusiasm, and you just mentioned these lifelong friendships that you made when you showed up, and to this date, you guys were the biggest class that we've had. What were your first impressions when you first met everybody that you were going to go through this journey with?
You know this. No, it's not my first impression. It's apparently everybody's first impression of me. Apparently, in our last lecture that we had with you, and all these guys come up and they're like, Carlos, I didn't like you at first. I'm sitting here like, why? What did I do? And apparently I just came off as some just a punch in the face, just I was already me. I didn't build it up. I was just a giant ball of energy to start off. And, I guess these guys learned that I had a heart and, I wanted to be their friend and we all hung out with each other. So I guess I learned in that way that I'm not the best at making first impressions. So that's something I have to work on. But
Well, what were your impressions of everybody else? They might not have liked you,
oh
but you
yeah,
got to know them.
I met I met this guy with a mullet and a cowboy hat and a Texas Rangers jersey, and his name was Holton Pepper. And he ended up being one of my best friends for the rest of my life. Literally saw him last week in San Antonio. We were covering the same event together. And then last December we were in Jerry World together covering the state championships. So I remember just thick accent. I mean, this guy was Texas as a person. I just remember thinking like, he doesn't swear. He's just such a nice, great human being. He's the sweetest boy. And so yeah, I just remember thinking I'm gonna have fun with this guy. We would be great together. Some of the others, like I just instantly liked most of them, from my partner Jackson, my my PNP 7 very last assignment crewmate Jackson Faulkner, and,
Oh yeah, we're
and
going to talk about that for sure.
then the old man Cam Jenkins, he came later. I remember we weren't really friends with him until later on when he was like we ended up into the same things, He was like 27 or 26. And I'm 20. So I'm like, I don't know what we have here, but, he just ended up being one of my greatest friends. He's awesome. And we all have a group chat and we all talk every single day. And I always annoy the crap out of them on Fridays and Saturdays, like, hey, group FaceTime time. You better join the group FaceTime. And, I do all of that. And it was like I liked all of them from the start, and then we ended up becoming like family. And I couldn't have graduated from Full Sail without those guys and without Big Sis Janier, definitely.
Well, you told me the other day when we were talking, we had a conversation, I don't know, maybe a month ago, and you were talking about your own personal growth and how you saw from where you started at Full Sail to where you were by the end of it, how much you had matured. When did you kind of get that kick that, hey, being the funny guy and being the class clown might not be enough here. I got to get at this in a way that I'm going to be the hardest working person as well.
Month 10, month 10. And it shouldn't have took me until halfway for me to realize that. But I remember, first 10 months, I didn't show up to the studio like that. I didn't I went home after class and just played games and whatever. And I submitted everything at the last minute. Time management. You're in TV. This is the procrastination business. But at some point, you got to realize, hey man, we got to step it up. Because if a guy like Chris Mouton doesn't know your first name, maybe it's because you're not there as often. And if Mr. Gus has an awesome opportunity for all of us, and you're so interested and you want to be the play by play, but you're not getting filled in on those sheets as much, you're not getting that schedule time because there are people out there in the studio learning every day and working so hard, helping their other peers with their shows and those other classes. That's where it's done. I mean, you want to be an on-air talent, that's great, but you also need to learn what all those men and women do in that control room because they help you out so much and how to give proper directions in your rundown to let them know, hey, this is what I want to do. Learn how the director does it, how the TD does it, and the guys and the TD switcher and the audio board, all those guys, the graphics, still TD, they all work together, and those are some great humans right there that'll help you out in the real world. And I just remember Mr. Gus giving opportunities to other people, even my own classmates that were working harder than me. And I remember thinking, I want that. Why am I not getting that? I don't know. Maybe because I'm not doing what I should be doing as a student here. And so I was like, you know what? Everything I do, I'm gonna do it in that conference room over there. And I'm gonna take Rhett and I'm gonna live in there. And then full cell security guards are gonna open that door at 2 a.m. and go, oh my gosh, what are you doing here? You need to leave. And I'm just gonna just do that for a long time until I get those opportunities and be in the studio and learn from everybody.
You once vowed that you were going to live in that conference room until you got a job, and and this was after you graduated too. This wasn't just when you were a student. You would show up with that 900-pound water jug, and you would go in there and you'd be working on who knows what to try to find a job. But it does seem like you had that shift when you talk about that moment. So once you identified that and you said, hey, and to be honest, like you've got a lot of skills that not a lot of people do, right? You have this personality that is hard to match, but I felt like you weren't reaching your potential. You were kind of somewhere in the middle of the pack because you weren't doing the other stuff. So once you identified that moment, what did you do to change that other than move into that conference room?
It wasn't about like me wanting to be better than other people because comparison is the thief of joy. I don't compare yourself to anybody. It's about, the best you that you could possibly be and just living life and taking things a day at a time. But yeah, you're absolutely right. Because I had potential, but I wasn't responsible. And I wasn't honest with myself yet. Like, yeah, I want to do all these great things, but what I do today impacts that. So how come I'm not getting these opportunities? A lot of students are questioning that right now. They're asking themselves that same thing. You know the answer. You just got to do it. And I think when I did that, um, I got so much better on everything. And I remember I think the Carlos Rosado show really helped when it came to just getting better. And I realized that there were just so many times where a class wasn't there that day in the studio, so it was just empty. And I just went up to Mr. Chris and I was like, hey, can I like do a show? He's like, yeah, open IL, and like I'm like, no, 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 no. No, like I want to do the Carlos Rosado show. A show where you do everything bad. It's supposed to be bad on purpose, and you just get to, have fun out there with whatever. And so I got the guys, they were in, and we made like these segments like famous birthdays or on this day. And, we put a lot of memes in it and, a lot of highlights and things like that. And unironically, I got so much better doing that show, working with my friends, purposefully making it bad, but like knowing how to make it bad.
I just remember the first time I saw that, I was laughing so hard. You have these people like in the background that are creeping up behind you and getting tackled, and the shots would get changed. It was like you were, half in this set and half in another set. And I thought that was great because it was just you having fun and doing television, right? And
For as
that's
serious as that, oh, I'm sorry.
go ahead.
Said, yeah, for as serious as that, as Mr. Christopher Mouton is, I know he had a smile under that mask at the time.
Well, it's just so fun to see. And I think that's the word is fun, right? You never lost sight of that. And for all the stuff you said you weren't doing, the stuff that you knew you could do better from a work ethic standpoint and involved standpoint. But one thing you never lost was the fun of it. And really, to me, that's what sports broadcasting is. I think, yeah, obviously there's some serious stuff you got to hit, but you always got to have fun. So, what were some of your favorite moments coming through school where you got to have fun?
Before I answer that question, I just gotta say, Mr. Rishi, like everyone works hard. I hope, if you're a student at the school or you're a news reporter or a sports reporter, whatever, MMJ, everybody works hard. It's like the word hard work or the like working hard, like the phrase and the word, it's just like gets so boring. It's like the NBA. Like I used to use it a lot. I used to watch it a lot. I don't even watch it that much anymore. Everybody works hard, but like work smart or work fun. I only work hard because I have fun in what I do. So I make working fun my top priority. It's like working fun, working smart, then working hard. Because if I do those two things, like, yeah, I'm gonna work hard. So everybody's like, yeah, we work hard we do this stuff. Yeah, everybody works hard, man, but like enjoy what you do, enjoy the moment. Work fun, work smart. I think some of the best moments were man, when I got to interview Charles Davis for Mike Tuck's class, I was like, Mr. Gus, please, I want to interview one of your famous friends. And he was like, I was like, I want to interview Charles Davis because that's just one guy I always looked up to. And some stuff he said in that interview I actually have written in my apartment. Like, he played for the University of Tennessee, and his head coach Johnny Majors, legend, he said he told him, "Live in your hopes and dreams, not your fears." So I have that written in front of my door. I see that before I leave, and I just take things like that. I did Hard Knocks one time when we were in PR, and I would just take my little full cell camera and I would record everybody in their classes, and then I do my own Liev Schreiber esque voiceover and track it and edit all of that. And then I would like pull the guys to the side and interview them. I remember one time I followed Purdom to McDonald's because that's where he worked. And I was just filming him working at McDonald's. And then I did the interview. He's just sitting down. You can hear that McDonald's thing that keeps going on every single second. And and then after class, like we all played football together. We would have races in the parking lot where we would break them down by divisions and everyone raced each other. And then we would throw football in the parking lot.
Where did you see the most growth in yourself during your time with us?
I remember I remember in the beginning, I just like something about they were like professionalism. And in the beginning, I thought that was like, oh, they don't want me to be myself. They want me to wear suits and be a more behaved. And I was like, then I don't know what I was thinking. I was just so naive at the time. And it was just like, I learned in that month, 10 month, like, you know, just it's about being a better version of yourself, being a great human being, but doing things the right way every single time and or as much as you can. Um, that's probably where I found the most growth. Even from month 3 to month 20, it was 20. And then shoot, I still don't enjoy wearing suits, but like whenever I'm at work, I dress like I do the job that I do. It used to not be like that. I would show up to the studio on presentation day. Our class was so big, we had a batting order. I knew that, I always wanted to go like last to close it out or like somewhere in the bottom of the batting order. So I knew I had time. So I'll just show up with my pajamas and my white t-shirt and then just working on some last minute things or just waiting. And then I'd finally put on the suit. But now it's like, I don't do that as much. But like on a chill Sunday, I will wear my pajamas to work and everyone loves me and they're like, "Oh, never change, Carlos." And it's like, "Yeah, cool and all, but I've learned to take that guy and then just, you know, chill him out and make him behave better, learn a lot more things and realize that it's just it's just making yourself the best you can in the right way." All of that just for that sentence.
Yeah, and you talked about the batting order for a minute, and that brought up another thing that I thought about, which was you guys kind of had to be on with your reps because you had a huge class, so it took more time, right? So you might not have gotten, you're not going to get to do 5 reps for every activity because everybody's got to get through, right? So how did you take that as a challenge to maybe be more realistic when you would perform, knowing, hey, I'm only going to get 1 or 2 reps. I got to make this count.
Oh my gosh, and they were all good too. It was like you had to bring it, because Pepper was going to bring it, Faulkner was going to bring it, Jenkins was going to bring it. We were all going to bring it. Junior was going to bring it, and it was just like Calvin Coolidge was going to bring everybody. Everyone brought it from Quinn Scher, who only did video, to esports, to all of us. I did a lot of football, and it was like you couldn't mess up because you're going to watch Homeboy. We all love each other and support each other, but on the inside, we're like, I want the best show today. I want the best show today. So yeah, it was that. We were all very competitive with each other, but like in the most positive way possible. And that really helped. It was like, you know, having to having to watch those guys before I went on, it would make me nervous. But like even then, I'm nervous before everything I do. That's just never gonna stop. But man, it was just that they were all good, and it's like practice in football practice. I don't want to hit my best friend, but like in a game, I don't know the dude across from me. I'll hit the crap out of him. But it was just like I don't want to. I want to outdo all these guys, but I love all these guys. So it's just like a bittersweet, and so I would refuse to watch everyone before me because I was like, nope, that would get in my head, and I would be like, oh, I'm gonna do better than them. Scratch that. Look, you do so much better when you don't have an ego. Leave that at the door. Everybody, if you win, everybody wins. Everybody should win. That's how you win the most. Yeah.
Well, you got around facing all these other adversaries by doubling yourself and then tossing to yourself, which I know you brought back in your career now. How did you come up with that idea?
I don't know. I was feeling goofy. So I went to Chris. I went to Mr. Chris who was like, hey, can I do something? And he's like, what is it? Or something, and I did that and it was a hit. The Dan Patrick himself saw that and was like, that's what this is all about. And I was like, oh my gosh, the Dan Patrick, that is wild. It's just doing something that's never been done before in the studio. Not many people can say that. So I was fortunate I was able to do that. And it was a goofy idea that pulled off. Then later on, my own career, I'm out here. We had a spring game for ACU, then it got canceled because of the weather. But like that was what most of my show was going to be about. So, or my segment. So I just straight up, I still went there, and then I did this stand up about it got canceled and other events that were canceled, and I took the feedback from my original one at Full Sail that Mr. Gus and Mr. Dan gave me, and I just straight up used it in real life, like talking to myself, like, "Hey, you're looking good, man." I'm like, "Yeah, thank you. You're looking good too." And I got to use that. I'm so happy, and everybody that saw it was like, "Oh my gosh, man, you brought it. You actually did it in the real world." I'm like, "Yeah, man, I can do that."
Well, he is the weekend sports anchor and reporter for KTAB and KRBC in Abilene, Texas, Carlos Rosado. I got to talk about your final project in your class with me because this was around the time of the NFL draft, and you and Jackson Faulkner got the entire class to participate in it. And what to this day, I don't know how it's going to be outdone. It had, I don't remember, you probably know how many assets it was and all that, but how did you guys make that come to life?
We were in the conference room. I remember I probably have my days wrong, but I was in the conference room at like 10:30 p.m. And I was like, I'm gonna be pulling an all-nighter here, fellas. Come here if you want to join me. And all of them joined. And me and Jackson are just working on just creating a rundown. And then we both at the same time look at each other and go, you just want to do the NFL draft? Yeah. And so we just thought about doing the live production of an NFL draft, but just pre-recording it. And we asked the guys, and since we're friends with everybody, they all said yeah, and they all wore their suits, and We let those that their favorite team was in the top 10 represent. We let them get drafted to their favorite team. And so Jackson and me work together. Like when you see the guys walking, when they get up and hug their parents and they're walking towards the podium, I'm sitting on a rolly chair just like this with Jackson's camera, and he is literally like grabbing it and pushing me like that as I'm just up and filming. And that's why those shots were so smooth. But we just kept doing that over and over, and I'm just so grateful that we ended up making a banger that won't be beat. I believe 60 assets were in that total.
Well, I remember you guys brought the idea up to me, and I said to you, I will allow you to do this if you still meet the requirements with the other stuff in it. And it was hilarious. My favorite part of it was some people like played multiple people because you didn't have enough bodies to go around. So somebody was someone's parents in one and Will Levis in another or something. Like it was pretty funny. But that was epic, as was kind of your goodbye session was pretty epic too on your final day. I remember I won't go into naming names here, but somebody talked for way too long, and I got kind of upset about it because it was taking forever, and we're all like, we're dying here, we got to get out of here. And then that wasn't you, but then I said that I'm like, everybody, you can't thank every person in your class. It's going to take too long. And then this person went on to, right after I said that, proceeded to thank everyone. And then I said again, you can't thank everyone, and then proceeded to do it again. But what was it like going through that final month for all of you, including being able to graduate with your friends?
I mean, like, yeah, I was scared. Are you kidding me? I was like, I'm gonna go to the real world and do this. It was like, am I good enough to do this? What is it gonna be like having to go wherever they hire me? I didn't even start applying for jobs until after I graduated. I literally said, I'm gonna be in this room until I get a job. And I was in that room until I got a job. I just
He
kept
was. He's not lying. I mean, he might not have been there physically every minute of every day, but he was there a lot. He was there more than most of my current students were.
and we didn't want to compare ourselves to each other. Wyatt was the first one out of us to get a job. We were all so happy for him, and then we had like three people, get jobs already before they graduated. They were in line, and now you got more doing that, and I'm glad for that. We're supposed to not be the best. People have to get better in order for this ship to sail. And yeah, I was terrified at first, but you know that's what's great about life is that like you just don't know. It's just life is the everyday practice of learning and experiencing and adapting, and that's just what we're able to do. So embrace the unknown. It's fantastic. And those guys really helped me, all 500 of them, whatever how many we had, helped me learn that. And I hope they learned that from me too.
Well, through it all, you stayed golden, and now here you are. What's it like living the dream right now?
Well, I got a press conference later today. No, yeah, I mean, I love what I do. And one thing is, I understand. Um, People, you are the big time. All right. Like wherever you are, I don't even know what number my market is. I don't care. I'm trying to do the best to represent the person I'm doing a story on. If I'm interviewing somebody, I want them to have a memory they could share for the rest of their life. It's not for me. Like, yes, I make these good videos and there will be a time to go to another destination, but like I see I see this dream. I see my job as like a fireman sees their job or a policeman. They just serve and they serve their community, help their people. That's what I want to do. I do this so other people can have memories because I'm a journalist. I'm not the story here. But live in the present. Acknowledge where you're at. It might not be where you want to be, but like Dan Patrick said in the feedback session, you think these athletes wanted to go to this D3 college? I don't think so. So make where you're at. Don't People are gonna spew negativity in your ear. But get out of this place. Do this, do that. Dude, I literally met a man that sparred Muhammad Ali, and I had the pleasure of doing an interview with him in this little old Abilene, Texas, that people were like, oh, I'm gonna do my 2 years and get out. Don't think like that. All right. Every human being can be nice. Every every human, every team, they have something to tell. Be grateful that you have the opportunity to wake up every single day and do what you can do. I mean, because that's what you went to school for. And it's really hard. And I have people in my class that still haven't found jobs yet. And I think about them all the time. And yeah, what's it like to live the dream? You want to keep your head in the future sometimes, but also slow down. Think about now, where you're at. Because, yes, what you do today is going to help you with tomorrow. Take things one day at a time. That's how you live the dream. It'll get there. Just got to be patient with it.
And you embraced the opportunity to go to Abilene, Texas. I remember you sending us a clip early on of you at the rodeo with the cowboy hat on and all of that. You've gone all in. How have you found your place in a new community where you didn't know anybody when you showed up?
Just talking, meeting people, learning who they are besides their job. Yes, I'm a sports reporter, but I'm not a sports reporter because, yeah, I love sports, but like I love storytelling more than I love sports. That's why I'm a sports reporter, you know, uh, but at like, yeah, we're here, to do what we do, but like we all have lives. Every human's got a heart, every human's got a brain, there's something to understand there. You have to genuinely show that you care about these people more than after you put a microphone to them, or after you press record, you press that big red button. Like everybody's just there's good in every person, I believe. And yeah, everybody's nice here. They encourage you, and there's nothing to, you can find a story in anything. And I really believe that anywhere. My most important deal, it's not Abilene, Texas, it's just where I'm at. Like home isn't Nashville, Tennessee. Home isn't Winter Park, Florida. Home is what you make it to be, wherever you're at, no matter where you're at. So right now, Abilene, Texas is home because Carlos Rosado takes pride in making it his home. Dang it! So I'm grateful to be here. And every time I do something, I think about that guy that got hired, and I think about those men, my news director and my sports director that gave me my very first opportunity in the real world. And every time I do a story, I'm just so grateful that I get to do it because they gave me that chance to start there. And so I'm going to be forever loyal to this place, and there will be a time to move on. And yes, you're in a small market to get out, and you have to get your reps to get better, and you want to hit the big time. You want to take that next rung up on the ladder. Well, guess what? You're no better than all the people in the control room. You're no better than anybody here that has spent multiple years here. We're all humans in this, man. It's so much better to be a greater person than it is to be a heck of a good sports reporter. Keep that in mind. Live in the present. So
You've gotten to
definitely.
cover some pretty cool things, and Abilene Christian is there, a college that we were just talking before the show that
Gotcha.
I had mentioned two of my former Chicago Bears were there, and he actually dropped in a third one, right? Shout out to Daniel Manning, Johnny Knox, and Taylor Gabriel there. But you were started a series on people with local connections who had played in the Super Bowl right around Super Bowl week, and I know that you're working on another one of those interviews with the legendary Dallas Cowboy Bob Lilly. And I saw you leafing through a book. How does doing that extra work of the research of reading his book help you tell a better story?
He's got, I'm still reading this book. It's weird. Like I don't read in my apartment. I go outside to like nature and I read, but like this thing, this book, a literal memoir, this has stories that you're not going to find on the internet. I'm not going to go on Google and type up his Bob Lilly's childhood in the 1940s. For those that don't know, this guy is literally the very first Dallas Cowboy, the very first Dallas Cowboy, first player to ever be drafted to the Dallas Cowboys. And he's from my local coverage area. And I'm like, he's still alive and he has stories to tell. I'm going to take that opportunity. So I got this book at the library. I've been reading it like in the 50s, his junior year. His very first collegiate offer was Hardin-Simmons University, which is one of our local D3s in Abilene. And the head coach of Hardin-Simmons at the time was slinging Sammy Ball. Like, how crazy that is. That's just, I love history, man. It's just so awesome. And it's things like that. Sometimes you get it on paper. The paper is so much better than what you're going to find in the laptop. And so I've been taking advantage of that for sure.
And you've brought your signature creativity to a lot of your work. I remember you did that little Roaring Twenties thing on the Abilene Flying Bison.
The Key City's finest team needs your support more than ever. The Abilene Flying Bison host the inaugural Mid-America League playoffs on August 13th. And these dapper ball players are more excited than a hog in a mud field.
I remember your little tour of the Warhawks facility. How do you take local sports and kind of the nuts and bolts of them and make it more fun for your audience?
Well, number one, in the Michael Stinton School of broadcast writing, our jobs are to inform and entertain, but also like that's me. That's just what I do. I like being creative and I like thinking outside the box. And what are some things we can do that haven't been done or that'll be entertaining? Still the same amount of information you put in for a normal package, but like make it, I don't know, make it fun, make it cartoony, get inspired by things. And yeah, I mean, I did it at Full Sail, and I'm blessed to say that I can do it now and that I've been doing it now. It's not like I don't. It's weird because you get the message. Some people learn, you make packages to put on your demo reel so you can look good. I don't know. I never had that opinion. I just make packages for the people I'm making packages for, but like I never thought about making myself look great as the most common part. It is just that I like being creative and I like showing that.
You have a quote on your Instagram, and I don't know how long ago you posted it, but it says, confidence is knowing you're built different. How does that help you with your job now?
Built different like LeBron. I did that because the king is 40 and he's still doing it. He's still doing it. But yeah, I like that quote just because first I think I made that up or maybe I didn't, but the built different thing was a LeBron meme for the long time, but it's just that, take pride in what you do and I'm not built different because I'm better than anybody. Because as long as I'm a human walking on this earth, I'll never be better than another person. But it's just that I'm built different in the sense that I believe in myself and I believe in time and I believe in trusting the process. And I am like the oldest 22-year-old man you'll ever meet in terms of music taste. And
Well, what do you like?
well, shoot. After I did this 4-minute feature piece on Verley Price, who sparred Muhammad Ali, and that was amazing. And I'm weird. Like when I prepare for things, I want exact music. So I was listening to 70s Motown the entire week that or the time that I was editing that. But I've still been listening to old school 70s Motown and 70s to 90s country music and divorced dad rock. And I also listen to rap and all of that.
A
But
lot of different stuff.
oh man, I've been on a Motown kick for a while now. While I was editing that, I was listening to Midnight Train to Georgia
Oh,
on
yeah.
repeat so many times because I was like, I want a song that's just like that, but non-copyrighted. And I guess I found something
You
like that.
found it. Good.
I'm just so
Where,
picky. It's weird. I do things differently because it just works for me.
well, that's what we said to you, right? In class, I said, be memorable, do something different. Everybody's going to do this job. You don't want to look like everybody else because then you can't stand out. If you can still get the important information out there, but do it in a creative way, that's going to be your ticket for connecting with people. And that's
Oh
what
yeah.
you've done. Where have you seen yourself develop the most skills wise since you graduated, since you took that job?
Could you talk to
My
me
first
about the
year,
time you took a Greyhound bus to
I work
to
to learn.
try to meet
If I'm in this
MJWD
place
and
in
Muhammad
Abilene,
Ali?
Texas, like that's one thing. I don't work to earn, I work to learn. I just also earn with it too. But my first year there, learning what it's like to be in this industry, and I remember just making normal packages, but then thinking, dude, like I do this every once in a while. I'll look at my old Full Sail projects and just be like, yeah, like I'll re-inspire myself and just be like, hey, let's do that again, or let's throw some stuff that you did at Full Sail and put it here in real life. And that's how the gear switched. And I used to make just normal run of the mill packages until I was like, nah, it's time for the remix. And then ever since I've just been making remixes, and I'm blessed to, I guess, be considered one of the best storytellers in the building, and I pride myself on that.
That's Carlos Rosado. He is making a difference in Abilene, Texas, and doing a great job with it. Let's go to the final big question.
Do
What
it.
are your future dreams within this business?
My future dream, honestly, since I was a even I said this to Mr. Gus. I want to call a Super Bowl. I want to call a Super Bowl one day. I want to be man, I want to be Kevin Burkhardt out there calling that a Super Bowl. Whoever, that opportunity, that's the greatest. Like if I get to do that, I believe that's the greatest championship in all the sports. Just I'm a very biased football fan, but like if I could call Super Bowl one day, be a play-by-play for that, for a broadcast, man, the Lord can take me after that. I'll be satisfied there. But if we want to get more deep in it, besides that number one goal, and I do got to get back on my play-by-play stuff if I want to reach that. But honestly, I mean, my number one goal in life is just to have a family and my kids be better than me, because that my I'm it's just awesome that I was fortunate to have two loving parents that did that for me. And talk about trailblazers and people setting the path for you. I want my kids to be a million times better than I ever was. So that in life, that's my number one goal. And then in sportscasting, my number one goal would be to call Super Bowl.
Oh, that's awesome. Whether it be sportscasting or life, how do you feel what you're doing right now is preparing you for your next step, wherever that may be?
Because I'm living. There's no stress. There's no stress when you know what the good Lord can do for you. So, I know I found my purpose, but I'm not stressing on how to get to my goals or anything. I'm just a good believer on if you do what you do and you work hard, like everyone does, but more importantly, you work fun and you work smart, the results happen. I've learned not to force anything anymore. And yes, there are times where that doubt creeps back into your brain, and then there are times where it doesn't and it feels good. It's just all part of the process, and I trust it and I love it. I'm gonna stick with it for as long as I can. There's no animosity against the small market that I'm at. I'm here and I want to thank these people for allowing me to be here by making great stories on them. And it doesn't matter if I'm here or if I'm in New York City, which I don't like the Colts, so I wouldn't go up there. But, I'm going to give it all I've got in the best work hard, work smart, work fun. Why do I keep saying work hard? That I could possibly do.
Okay, well, we like to end with what I call the dream sequence. Three quick questions, Carlos. You give me your answers. Now, one thing that makes me happy is we share a birthday. One day I was in the studio and I hear Carlos just yelling that to me. We have the same birthday. We have the same birthday. June 16th, baby. So, what is your dream birthday party?
Dream birthday party. Oh my gosh. I would want it somewhere in like a ranch, and just have ATVs and just donuts all around. I want one of those, like those kid inflatable water slides, but like, I'm grown now, so I want it to be so much larger. And I want all of my friends to be there, and we're just like whatever, doing donuts, riding four-wheelers, or going down slides, playing pool, playing football again, but we're all out of shape, so it's just gonna end quickly because we're all gonna be tired. That would be, yeah, just a day of awesomeness would be my dream birthday party.
Sounds pretty good to me. Beats when I had Gordy's brother on my birthday cake when I was like 9 years old. So true story. Dream. So you play a lot of football in those Full Sail parking lots. Dream Full Sail football parking lot quarterback throwing to you.
Oh, I mean, I'm the quarterback. It was always me. So, I guess I'd have
Okay,
me
then
throw
let's change it then. Dream receiver to throw to.
dream receiver to throw to of all time. I think Jerry Rice is the
In the
greatest.
parking lot. In the parking
Okay. I
lot.
was like, yeah, Jerry Rice is the greatest football player to ever play football. But ooh, hmm. For some
That's
reason,
pretty
probably
good.
Jackson. Me and Jackson were just on it. Yeah,
He
me and
seems
Jackson
like
were on.
kind of like a possession receiver. Is that fair?
He is, yeah.
Move the
But
sticks kind of guy.
he will move the sticks for me. Yep.
Okay, you say you have a wide and deep range of music you listen to. Dream Carlos Rosado entrance music.
I have a lot. I'm gonna pull up the Spotify right now.
Well, you can only pick one song.
Oh, that's what I'm gonna do. It depends. I only have one song, but like I even have things picked out for like what countries I'd be in if this would happen.
So you've put some thought into this.
Oh man, I've
Okay,
put
let's
so.
say your entrance music to do your final sportscast. How about that?
Oh, okay. Shoot, probably like "My Way" by Frank Sinatra would be an awesome one for the last
I
sportscast.
think you got to do that now. You need to come all dressed in a tuxedo and sing it and play your greatest hits, right?
Oh yeah,
Oh,
definitely.
okay, we've got a plan for that now. So whenever that time comes, you've got it. Finally, what advice do you have to future Dan Patrick students and alumni and really anyone else who wants to follow in your footsteps as a sportscaster?
Hello, people of LinkedIn and Instagram and YouTube and wherever you get all your podcasts from. Hey, well, here's my advice to you, Full Sail students. Appreciate where you're at, stick with the journey, don't stress about the future. It'll get there. If you believe in yourself. Yes, find ways to stick out, connect with people, live life. All right. We're only on this little bluish, greenish sphere for a long time. So just remember to relax every once in a while and just understand that if you believe in yourself and you do what you want to do, and you're blessed with the current opportunities you have in front of you, it'll happen. It'll get there. Everyone has their time. If John Cena can turn heel, then literally anything on this earth could ever happen. So that'd be yeah, that's my advice. Just live in the present, trust the process, live life, man.
I like how you had a different voice for that, right? You were ready with a different voice to wrap things up. And it's been a fun conversation. Everything from NFL draft broadcast done at Full Sail to parking lot football to everything in between, tossing to yourself. Carlos Rosado, he is a man of many faces and he always stays golden. Carlos, thank you for all your time today. He's living his dream. Everyone, you keep on living yours as well.